Blessing. Good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to Facts, Not Fiction. Let me first welcome all our viewers locally, regionally, internationally, all of you who continues to tune in on the World Wide Web when these programs on particular days comes into your home via social media and into your hearing, that you can have a better understanding as to what is taking place within our society. I honestly believe at this point, no one can truly claim to be surprised of the behavior of Keith Christopher Rowley. I think no one at this stage in the game can be surprised with the level of ignorance, the level of racist statements, the level of degrading not only our women but the citizens of this country. When he find it dotish and he find it stupid and he find that the JJ what thing and so on, is because the acolytes of the PNM seems to find joy in the rubbish that Rowley spew out of his mouth. It seems as though that they have a joy in that rubbish that comes out the mouth of the Prime Minister. They rejoice. It seems as though that they are uplifted by that level of stupidity and arrogance. It seems as though that the level of their thinking, it is as though their brain cells have not developed to the point where they are able to speak out against the rubbish of Keith Rowley and to demand respect and to demand accountability and to demand transparency and to demand integrity. It seems as though they have not developed, they have not achieved that level of brain development so that they would know what is becoming of a prime minister and the conduct of the prime minister at this time from the inception of his behavior in politics, when they would have referred to him as the Rottweiler in the days of opposition. And with the past 7 years in government, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen a display. We have seen a type of behavior by the Prime Minister of this country that no other Prime Minister in the world have demonstrated. No other Prime Minister in the world we could go to and say, look, this Prime Minister have demonstrated the traits of Keith Rowley. But within all that folly, the PNM supporters who will gather at a regular PNM meeting, they find joy and they find hope. They find that the conduct of the Prime Minister, it is as though that behavior turned them on to stick with the PNM. It is as though that behavior is what satisfies their intellectual thinking. so that they believe that conducting himself as a hooligan while he sits in the office of the prime minister, it's the way to behave. It's the way to fulfill their desire. And today, that behavior have since spread and trickled down throughout the length and breadth of our country. The prime minister, the way in which he have bullied his way in the parliament, he have bullied his way within the integrity commission, he have bullied his way with the police service commission, he have bullied his way in the presidency, the house of the president, the chair of the president of this country. He have bullied his way throughout this country, that today when we look at the behavior of our school children, we believe that the example that has been set by the prime minister, no longer the children of our school age have respect for the school uniform, have respect for their teachers, have respect for their fellow students. And the reason, ladies and gentlemen, is when you have a bully who sits at the helm as a prime minister, the example that the prime minister have set in this country, today the population believe that to emulate the conduct of the prime minister must be the order of the day. They have seen how Keith Rowley bully his way throughout the length and breadth of governance, the length and breadth of every independent institution. And today, the last institution that Rowley believed that he could bully is the office of the Director of Public Prosecution. You, the people of this country, you must never surrender the independency of the DPP to any politician in this country. Keith Christopher Rowley have set up, have built an empire. He has built an empire that the Cosa Nostra of all seems to be a joke for the modern day Cosa Nostra that exists in our country. We were able to see that the prime minister of this country started to set a particular type of example by those within his own party.
If my colleague from our approach east want to talk about party elites, and meet him outside on the pavement.
You see, he have started this trend from within the realms and the bowel of his party, the party that he leads. And that is why he was able to isolate individuals who were not conformed to his thinking, behavioral pattern, and his methodology of governance. And the first person who seemed to pay the price of that example that the prime minister set was none other than the public utility minister at the time, none other than Lee Hunt. None other than Lee Hunt. And when he set that example within the bowels of the PNM, It is where this relentless desire to build an empire where one and one only will have the say. And the Prime Minister recognized in order to build that empire, he needs to take control of all the independent institutions. So the appointment of a speaker to the House of Representatives, the Parliament, it was the first pillar that the Prime Minister cast in order to bring about the results and to state a particular example where the opposition in the parliament would not have any say whatsoever. So the speaker, and he said, George, conform to that type of political pressure that we have had examples that even while, and he said, George, the Speaker of the House, were on her feet, the Prime Minister continues to ramp and rave and to enforce his authority over the sacred authority of the Parliament, that she had to sit down on a number of occasions while she were on her feet to accommodate the relentless outrage of the Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, as he cement his way, taking full control of what should be one of the most sacred, independent institution in this country. Added to that, added to taking control of the parliament, the Prime Minister understood that he needs to take full control of the judiciary. And therefore, when those allegations came up against the Chief Justice, the Prime Minister saw the opportunity to captivate the authority of the judiciary and were quite successful in doing so by not setting up that tribunal in order to have the Chief Justice accountable for the allegations that still sits over his head. And you can see a downplay from that authority, because as of recent, while the Prime Minister started to attack the office of the DPP, we have also had the Chief Justice also attacking the office of the DPP. And if that was not good enough in terms of cementing his authoritative masterpiece, he also had the Attorney General, Reginald Lion Amor, who would also attack the office of the DPP. While Amor himself is not fit to sit in the chair of Attorney General. And you know the story with Reginald Amor. And while he is not fit to sit there, we also see the Prime Minister using his authority to control the office of the Attorney General by not removing an Attorney General who is a disgrace, not only to the law fraternity, but to the country and the office that he now sits. So the Prime Minister, as he continued to build this new form of authoritative Cosa Nostra, the Trinidad brand, which is the most deadly brand, he went on further. When the Prime Minister recognized that the former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, did not intend to conform and to bring another independent office under the control of the political directorate, the Prime Minister again went out on an onslaught against Gary Griffith, utilizing another independent institution, which in this case was the Police Service Commission, infiltrating the Police Service Commission and allowing the president, the head of the Police Service Commission, to utilize and to maneuver and to break the law. After the law gives the Police Service Commission the authority, when the list is signed off on, after they have concluded their process, that list have one gear, and that is a forward gear, straight to the president. The Prime Minister again recognizes that in order to have further control, in order to cement this empire, this Rowley empire, he had to infiltrate the office of the president. And so he utilizes his authority. He utilizes his office and then brought the office of the president into disrepute in order to fulfill his desire to remove Gary Griffith, another independent institution, as the Commissioner of Police. Added to that, the Prime Minister did not stop there, because to have full control, you need not only to control the Attorney General, you need not only to control the Chief Justice, you need not only to control the office of the President, you need not only to control the Speaker of the Parliament, but the last major piece that the Prime Minister will need to fulfill his ambition and to formulate in this country a one-man rule government. You need to remove the independency out of the DPP office. And when you remove that independency out of there, then you are able to fulfill the Trinidad Cosa Nostra, where you would be able to get your desired result, where you would be able to mash up and to destroy not only your political opponents, but you can mash up any individual or organization in this country once you finally controls the office of the DPP. You see, we as Trinidadians, we never took the time to pay attention to our country and the governance of our country. We always sit back and allow the politician to do as they please. And when we are extremely under pressure, then and only then we wait for an election to call so that we could vote out and vote in. We as a people, we never took the time to examine the dangers of allowing any prime minister to control these independent institutions. While we will have a prime minister to act funny and to dress up with a red nose and a painted face as a clown, and while he will discharge words and a level of arrogance to have you satisfied your mind with the folly, you the people who ought to be educated, who sits in the audience of this man, you have never took time to see the danger that is being created by this prime minister by having control of these independent institutions. It's either you are so blinded by red, or the juice is as joy juice. I remember years ago, there were some guys in Santa Flora. And as a lad, I will ask my parents, how this man get like this? Why he behave like this? And then they would say to me that 3 of those individuals that you are seeing acting strange, they have boiled something and make something that they call joy juice. And when you drink joy juice, you are totally out of control from what I have seen by these individuals. I am saying that this prime minister is drinking much more than joy juice, in a figurative sense, because his behavior and your behavior as the audience to this prime minister, vocabulary, language, and you as educated, supposed to be educated people, would rejoice and laugh and hold this man in honor for his abuse of power and his abuse on the citizens of this country. You are sick people. All of you who were in that audience when this man will talk about flea laden and lice laden and a girl whine back on me, or you're sick. Yeah. Sick audience. All of you sitting there. Sick people. Because when a prime minister could stand up and degrade another human being by speaking about flea laden and lice covered, and a woman whine back on me and and all you could rejoice with that level of behavior, it tells Victor Roberts the level of you people character. It tells Victor Roberts the level of you people integrity. It tells me that you are sick people who sitting in that PNM, and because of a plate of food that your master will provide for you while he have you in shackles, you people would rejoice. Yeah. Yes. This man stood up and the great Patrick Manning to the worst while Patrick Manning was ill. While Patrick Manning falls sick. And this man stood up by Pigot's corner. And the great Patrick Manning.
I want to tell you something. I'm from Mason Hall in Tobago. Mason Hall very close to Liquor. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Calder Hart and Udicup. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it.
I hear people scream and shout and laugh by the utterance of Keith Rowley as the great Patrick Manning in the worst, brutal, meanest way possible. And you people who profess to be PNMites, you people sit down and stood up and laugh and clap and ray and cheer this man on. And today, you want to know what is happening in our society. So let me start the ball rolling, because all I gave you there was just the preamble to what we're going to deal with. When you hear, ladies and gentlemen, if you hear, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear, ladies and gentlemen, that the DPP, Roger Gaspar, is removed from office, I want to tell you, it's going to be very well too late. I do not want people to tell me Rowley must go. I don't want people to ring me and tell me Rowley must go. I don't want people to text me and tell me Rowley must go. I want you to tell me what you doing for Rowley to go. That you I want to hear. I want you to tell Victor Roberts what we doing for Rowley to go. Because you could sit down, stand up, lie down, kneel down, bend down, anyhow you want to go, and say Rowley must go. You ain't doing nothing more than wasting time. Let me say it again. You can kneel down, lie down, bend down, stoop down, wherever you want to do like Lake Asphalt, and say Rowley must go. You only wasting good time. Rowley ain't going no way by you texting me, ringing me, and telling me Rowley must go. You want Rowley to go? Then get up. Then stand up. That is what you need to do. This country falling apart daily. This country falling apart daily. We have a newly appointed commissioner of police. And this newly appointed commissioner of police, who came through the rank and file of the police service, who should have capitalized on the strategies, if there were any, of some of the former commissioner of police. Gary Griffith put some strategies and some plan in place. I can't say that for PNM Jacob. And the way things going, it look like I will have to say PNM Ola Christopher. It look like I want to say that. But the point I'm making is that this woman came through the rank and file of the police service, should have been very well experienced in administration policies, who should have also be very much experienced with office procedures. Although I saw somebody put up a list and I see she quite down second to last. Somebody put up a list today and I see she quite down second to last, if I'm mistaken. But actually looking for it. But this commissioner of police, who will tell us that this country needs divine help to fix the problem. I want to join with Senator Roberts and ask this woman to see how fast she could put her resignation together and submit it, go home, and you pray. Pray without ceasing. Pray night and day. That is what you need to do. Because my little son know God help those who help themselves. So I think that you as the Commissioner of Police want God help, which is very good. But Ola Christopher, you have to help yourself, Miss Lady. If you can't handle the job, then what you doing there? What you doing there? You see, when people say Trinidad is not a real place, and Rowley said they should end up in Ukraine, Rowley should be the first to be in Ukraine. Because if Trinidad was really a real place, Rowley would have never been sitting there as Prime Minister in 2015. He would have never get another term in 2020. And worse yet, the country that then come out by the thousands and force an election, if this was a real place. That ain't no joke. So she decided that is God have to help us. She tell us by June, murder, down. She tell us what we experiencing now is the storm before the calm. But it look like it look like I don't mind laughing, you know. It look like what happening here now. It look like she recognize it's storm all the way down. It ain't no calm coming. Because you have National Security Minister as Fitzgerald Hines and a Prime Minister as Keith Rowley and Attorney General who went and lied, a Chief Justice with allegation hanging over his head, a DPP that they want to remove right now, and then you have she as the Commissioner of Police, then God really had to help us. I think that's the correct headline. What's she? To last. What's down there? Just above Matthew Andrews' watch. You seen where she is? But she get the job. She have the job. What you got to for it? Upstairs on top of the list there. It's only the PNM. It is only the PNM. We have Stephen Williams, Michael Sees, and Ramisa. We had the whole team there. You understand? But to the end of the day, it's only the PNM could do that. And it's only you, the people who support the PNM, would accept that. And the next set of people who say they support the UNC, but do absolutely nothing more than just talk and say we're waiting for election to come. You too, accepting this year. You too accepting what's going on here. Because if only wasn't accepting what's going on here, all you would have be outside with all the thousands. All you would have be outside with the thousands. And don't call me and tell me nothing about tear gas. Because what all you're experiencing here is worse than tear gas. All you're going to experience an economical genocide. So don't tell me nothing about tear gas and police. If all you was serious in this country, an election would have been called already. But what we do have is a set of social media, and they believe that memes and so on, posting this and posting that, and Rowley this and Rowley can't spell, and watch how we spell peace, and watch how we spell war, and watch this and watch that. That will call an election. That will have an election. And telling me Rowley had to go, and Rowley had to go, and Rowley had to go, and singing Rowley had to go, Rowley had to go, Rowley had to go. You could sing Rowley had to go until 2025. Sing that until 2025 and see if Rowley going anyway. So the Commissioner of Police say God had to help us. Why we here? I want to go back to a policy that Keith Christopher Rowley sit down with a conversation with the Prime Minister up in the East. And Keith Rowley said to this country that he supports one shot, one kill. Actually, I was able to send something for you, but I make one mistake. I didn't call you and tell you I want to use it. That is where the U.S. Right. If you had that as you have it, you could play it for me. Rowley stand up and tell this country that he supports
the U.S. and extradition.
that the government have to investigate extrajudicial killing. Actually, let's check back with volume. So let me just, in case you miss it, let me just go it over. Rowley was stood up in the conversation with the Prime Minister, and he tell the world that he supports the policy of one shot, one kill. All you remember that? He supports the policy of one shot, one kill. Now, when that happened, a lady stood up and was questioning that policy. Rowley asked the lady, what you want the police to do? Aim for the foot? But based on all that policy now, we are at the point where the U.S. is on the verge of withholding all financial aid that they give to national security. All financial aid that they give to national security, the U.S. is on the verge of withholding every cent.
The U.S. and extrajudicial killings. In Trinidad and Tobago, the United States government has made a courtesy call to the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, warning him about the extrajudicial killings taking place in the country.
If in a country the police officers are carrying out extrajudicial killings, meaning killing people for no good reason without passing through a process of a court, in breach of human rights, that country, under American law, is forbidden to receive assistance from the United States on matters of national security.
During the call, the U.S. government expressed concern about the issue and informed the Prime Minister that it plans to stop all security and other assistance to Trinidad and Tobago due to its policy not to support countries involved in extrajudicial killings. This decision could have significant consequences for Trinidad and Tobago.
And something happened in Trinidad and Tobago which caused the government to want to see me, to tell me that as a result of certain developments in the public domain in Trinidad and Tobago and known to them in the private domain, Trinidad and Tobago is now on the verge of not getting assistance, very valuable assistance from the United States.
The U.S. has been providing significant security assistance to Trinidad and Tobago, including equipment, training, and technical assistance. Without this assistance, Trinidad and Tobago may struggle to combat crime and maintain public safety. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, should publicly acknowledge the U.S. government's concerns and make a commitment to investigate and prosecute those responsible for extrajudicial killings. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service should also take measures to improve their internal systems and procedures to prevent extrajudicial killings. This situation highlights the importance of respecting human rights and the rule of law. We'll be sure to keep our viewers updated on any developments in this story. HCN News.
Rowley, it is you, Keith, that tell Trinidad and Tobago and the US and the CARICOM that you support one shot, one kill. It wasn't Kamla and the UNC, it was you and the PNM. Because they clap for that too, you know. They ray and they clap for that too. It is you who tell the world that you support your government policy is one shot, one kill. Now you have to face the bowling because of the policy that you support. You tell the police don't aim for the foot. It is you, not me. So when a policy of the government is to kill their citizens, aim for the chest and the head, not the foot and the hand. Government policy. And every Monday morning we hear 3 dead, 4 dead, 2 in a car. You think the US, who's spending money in your country on national security and the rule of law, you think that they don't have the investigative arms under the embassy in your country? You so naive. You could never be so dotish. Well, let me take back that because I just think. Some of those say you can't be so dotish. You think that the US wouldn't have the investigative arm in this country monitoring how the money spending in relation to criminality, in relation to the rule of law, in relation to your policy, Keith Rowley?
Yes, Mr. Keith Rowley. The second point is the crime in the country out of hand. Yes, we know, but we're looking for you to give your opinion. I don't like how Gary Griffith said to shoot, to kill the youth, knowing people commit crime as sick people. You're supposed to give. Hold on.
Are they hearing them?
Right. We're looking at you to give us our opinion how to deal with the crime situation, because if a man do a crime, he's supposed to end up in the prison and your police force killing them, yeah? We don't like it.
That statement is not a correct statement. Mr. Griffith, the Commissioner of Police, simply says very clearly that if a citizen
And whether it's them boys or your boys or who boys, if a citizen acquires a firearm and shoots at the police officer, under the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, the police officer has been trained to return that fire.
You hear these people?
That is the law. He also pointed out, in response to some of you saying, well, if you have to shoot when they go to kill you, shoot them in their hand or in their foot. All Mr. Griffith says is that if you look at the training that you, the taxpayers, have provided to the policemen, there's no target practice at the police range for hand and foot.
Hey, I really had to laugh in this country, boy. The man supports the killing of all the children, all the clapping and laughing, all the clapping and raying and cheering. How dirty shall the PNM people could really be in this country, boy? How dirty shall it could be in this country? This man have no policy to deal with crime, and saw it fit when he believed that there is an excuse, when he believed that there is a given created opportunity to shoot your sons and your daughters. And I am not saying in one breath, that the police going around and just murdering people, I ain't saying that, I am referring to a policy from Keith Rowley, and I'm referring where the US intend to cut all money because they say extrajudicial killing. But the Prime Minister have no plan. Fitzgerald Hines, no plan. Stuart Young, former National Security Minister, no plan. All of them planless, clueless, and senseless. So they saw an opportunity where they could make themselves look good by supporting a one-shot, one-kill policy, where they believe that might have deter the criminals in some way by just killing them out. But we have seen in this country that under Patrick Manning, they gather all the gang leaders together. The gang leaders were shot and killed one by one. But what happened? What happened after that? When that took place, you had a surge, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry who used to keep a firearm for a gang leader, they now became a gang leader. So it never worked. It never worked. This problem of crime in this country, it is not a case of a one-shot, one-kill policy to fix the problem. To fix the crime problem, Trinidad and Tobago, we have to have a Prime Minister with a vision. We have to have a National Security Minister with a vision. We have to have a Minister of Education with a vision. We have to have a Minister of Youth Development with a vision. We have to have, ladies and gentlemen, a Minister of Sport with a vision. And we also have to have a Minister of Community Development with a vision. Those are the key ministries to fix the crime problem in our country. Those are the key ministries to fix the crime problem in this country. It is not one shot, one kill, Keith Rowley. It is policy. It is vision. And one of the key that I left out is the Minister of Labor and the Minister of Local Government. All these ministries have to come together to fix the crime problem. Ballhead, dunce head. That is what will fix the problem. Not one shot, one kill. So all you introduce, all your one shot, one kill, and the one shot, one kill end up with 40 and 50 shots, 6 dead, 3 dead. And now the US, who doing the investigation, come to the conclusion that we're going to cut funding because of extrajudicial killing. Now you're telling the people in this country that something happened. Nothing in happen, Rowley. Is what all you put in place is what causing the problem. We have seen some brutal, heinous crime by the criminal element in this country. And yes, there will always be occasions where some will be shot and killed by the police. Don't get away from that. You can't get away from that. But the fact remains is the government have a responsibility to put policies to deal with this situation. This is not marble pitch playing, you know, where the ring's full of marble and you roll your big gungi, you slug through the ring and you lick out 4 or 5 marble and you tell yourself, right, on top of the game. This don't work like that, Keith Rowley. So don't try to blame the police now, you know. Don't try to blame the police for your error. Because if you have no policy to deal with it, then the police will very well deal with it as they see it fit. Because your government have no plan, your government have no policies. And in the absence of policies and planning, strategic planning, once there is no strategic planning, Keith Rowley, it will be helter-skelter, vips-vap, boom, dead. That is what it will be. You have created, Keith Rowley, a type of pressure, psychological, social, emotional, all the pressure there is, your government have created it on the population. You have conducted yourself in such a way that the average child believes that behaving like you is what it needs in this country.
They call the crew, they call them. What the fuck?
This is in Trinidad and this is in Trinidad.
One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey boy, hey! Hey boy, hey! Hey boy, hey! Hey boy, hey!
Southeast riots in my
Order for fight, boys. Order for fight.
Victor, this video is almost 15 minutes long of fighting, you know.
Boy, brother, you're telling me.
And remember, you had Grandy with a big fracas in the stretch. Then you had Tabakit with had 17 fights in a day.
Huh.
What?
Archie, let me tell you something. Let me tell Trinidad and Tobago. This government, this Rowley, this Hines, this Gaspy Dolly, they're going to wait, Archie, until some parent running a school and kill somebody child, and then and only then you will hear they want to put measures in place.
Good night, Victor.
Archie.
And Mr. Archie, this is the original Sahina. Okay, I want to ask a simple question. That sort of behavior on that video, was that the behavior of hyenas in a African jungle? Well, if it was that sort of behavior, when he said that is the outcome he wanted. Now, the other thing I wanted to do, did the Duens come down from beach when they want a beach or Brazil school they wanted not to open? Or any of the midgets come down from the school in beach? And you remember they never wanted to give those people in the countryside education. And look who getting on now. His own supporters. And one of the things I am annoyed about, their policy from the PNM, from Hazel. If you look at every single step, the PNM policy, the delivery is what we're seeing now, what we're experiencing now. Everything they do, everything they say, they forget to fix the 106 school. They don't care about that. They spend the money with the highway to nowhere. All of those things that show you how nasty these people are. Sorry to use that word, but that is what they're doing to our kids. The other thing I want now, you see the meritocracy in education. I heard the Minister of Education, aka Bundles, said next week, that is 2 weeks ago, she's going to publicize the bursary. You know how I wanted to do it? I wanted to do the same way that we know who get the president medal.
So in a wrap up because we have other calls coming in, so make it quick.
I'm going to finish. I want all the list of everybody who got bursary, publish it in the paper, tell us what school get them, so we will know if it's a John Yoon William scholarship again. I go and have a nice night.
Thank you. You see, when they come in, actually, we just take them. We are one there? It lost? We lost it? All right. You see, actually, somebody parent will run into one of these schools. I saw a lady speaking recently of a girl child that she have in school and the distance that 3 fellas went with this child. And while there's some social dotish idiots on social media who will be saying the child may be like that, when I tell it some of these Trinidadians in this country is so ridiculous and dotish and senseless and pig-headed and nutty-head according to Morgan Job, that the only dotishness them could talk is that how you sure the child didn't like this and the child was enjoying it. You know why they will talk that BS? Because they have Rowley in them. They have Rowley in them. They have the PNM in them. Welcome, caller.
Good evening to you and to Archie and to the Facts and Fiction crew and to everybody out there.
Yeah.
Mr. Victor, when you have indiscipline at the top, do you expect to have discipline at the bottom? I find instead of Dolly addressing the nation and telling them to show example, be the example for the children, she should have turned to her leader and tell them that. Her leader and Mr. Noor, all who was behaving bad on that platform that night. They have no behavior. Keith Rowley feel that he can stand up there and tell people what he wants because he's Prime Minister. And they're talking about the UNC, have no respect for him, have no respect for the President or the Speaker or anybody else. But we learn by example, which we saw it from you. Because when you disrespect the office that you are vying for, nobody will have respect for you when you get there. Respect is earned, Keith Rowley. You don't demand respect from people. I remember when Keith Rowley was campaigning in 2015 and was asked about school violence. I think it was in Chiponas. He said that they are going to build a special school for these delinquent children. Where is school? He didn't even build one for the good children, the good behavior children. He's going to build one for the delinquents. Maybe it was Balisay House he was referring to. For all the delinquents, and then they're going to put them there. This place is getting from bad to worse. These children, I find it's about time these children pay for what it is they're doing. Because this is nonsense, disrupting the whole school with fights and all this kind of thing. What is wrong with all this? Is it the oregano in the pizza? What is causing this? Something has to be going on. And you know what is hurtful, Mr. Victor? You have some talk show hosts. Instead of addressing the situation with Keith Rowley and what's going on in this country, every single evening is an attack against Mrs. Prasad and the UNC. Is he being paid to bring down the UNC? But he will quicker come down than the UNC. You hear? Because this is real stupidness that's going on in this country. And now we have Earl talking about people have to turn to God. I find the Archbishop should have been given the job now as Commissioner of Police. Because he does everything. Instead of talking about what it is going on in the country and addressing it, you talking about people now saying that Trinidad is not a real place. Well, after seeing this and all the school fights and Keith Rowley behavior, Trinidad is really not a real place. Thanks a lot and have a good day.
Dr. Masada Cruz. You see, when Keith Rowley talking about who disrespecting president office and disrespecting prime minister office, those are two offices that have no respect for themselves. Because once you could breach the constitution as the president of this country, and Keith Rowley being the idiot that I know he is, he respects nothing. He don't even who disrespecting the office of the DPP? Actually, take me off there. Who disrespecting the office of the DPP? So when you have a prime minister who have no respect and order, no respect for the citizens, no respect for the office that he sits in. What they expect these school children to do is by Rowley example, they learn in bullying. They believe that bullying, because that is what they have seen by the Prime Minister. So if the Prime Minister could bully the country, what example you believe that these children will follow? What example? And this is not a political issue, you know. This is not an issue with UNC children and PNM children, you know. This is not that issue, you know. This is an issue where the government have no policies in place to deal with a situation. And when you have no policy from security come right back, that is what will happen. Welcome, caller.
Good night.
Good night, caller.
Victor Roberts, please.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm watching the show. I'm calling from Canada. Now, what is being seen on television, it is making world news. And it's a disgrace to Trinidad and Tobago and to the government. Another thing, I want Rowley to be on alert. You see what the Court of Justice have done to Putin? They have 3 warrants out for his arrest. Tell Rowley, be on the lookout because they're coming for him next. You know? Mm-hmm. Check the news. It's on today's news here, and it's broadcasting throughout. It's on the television throughout the day. Warrant has been issued by the ICC for the arrest of Putin and a minister. And it's not one warrant. There were 6 warrants for him, and they're going looking for him. So tell Rowley be on the lookout. Can he be next on the go?
Thank you, caller.
Okay.
Welcome, caller.
Hello, good evening.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I want to say, instead of the drag a coffin, they should have dragged a mannequin. Then the PNM supporters, they would have been happy with that because they all condemning. A talk show host said the protest or whatever they had, it had UNC written all over it. You know, Keith Rowley marched for 5 years almost every day in this country. They did not say a word. What you saw here is rape. What you saw here is rape. And they're reaping the bitter harvest from Keith Rowley from 2015 to now. He said all manner of things about Mr. Special and everybody else. You see? Mm-hmm. But they can't take what happened. But let me tell you something, mister. The best is still to come. We ain't seen nothing yet. This is just the beginning of story. We ain't seen nothing yet. And they like to get vexed when you talk. Because when I watch my TV, I'm watching the brawl. That's not a fight, it's a brawl. Mm-hmm. And I am seeing it's one set of people. You know, tomorrow sometime when I pick up my newspaper and it's some scholarship or some story, I will be seeing a different set of people. But it's we government, so let them take that. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. We are really, really, really heading down a road. Actually, I seen the police and them trying to care about that, you know. You see, I want people to understand this is more than parenting. This is not just parenting. You see, we to make a informed decision on any given situation, we must gather all the facts, get all the evidence.
It's very unfair to the police to have to go into a situation for which the Prime Minister is responsible for.
Exactly.
The police is a highly trained person to deal with things in a certain way. Go ahead, caller.
Welcome, caller.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
What I saw on TV today, the opposition in South Africa shutting down South Africa Monday, the opposition, everybody within the street, that, you see? Thank you.
Well, Victor, I agree with the caller.
Well, not only
but
you.
the opposition must be there when we go there. They nobody behind. is not for the opposition will lead.
But the people have to come out. Welcome, caller.
Mr. Roberts, good night.
Good night, sir.
I'm watching you from Guyana. And I'm watching you from Guyana, and I'm listening to the school, and watching the school violence. And I have I live in Guyana, I'm a Guyana, but I was in Trinidad 25 years, and I come to Guyana.
Right.
And I watch the system they have here. The detection rate, the crime detection rate is 98%, and Trinidad even is 20%. If they have a school violence here, the president or the vice president calling the minister want them to intervene in the same time. And I was not saying that deep thing. What are they doing with that government on the way? It's so embarrassing. We just got to hide from them when people talking about what's going on with other people. What's going on is so embarrassing. We had to face them, you know what I mean? However, I locked on listening, brother.
Thank you, caller.
Boy, Victor, your program going far, boy. You're getting calls from Guyana. You know, yesterday I was watching my YouTube, and the kind of documentaries I see coming out of Guyana. Guyana going way ahead first world. And hold on, before people jump and say, well, because they have oil money. We spending plenty money, just as much money. But where the money in Trinidad is going, where is it going? But if you see development in Guyana, I see so much development, I jealous. I see in road, building, all kind of thing happening.
Welcome, caller.
Good afternoon.
Good day, good day.
Kyle, good afternoon, Archie, and
good afternoon,
Victor.
Yes, sir.
If Rowley called out Mulilal on the street to fight, what example is that for the children to hear and do? It's just the same thing. Victor, I think better, there's your partner. Victor, I think better we start to look and start to mark the street. Other than that, we will reach nowhere though.
Caller, it ain't easy. Like we lost him there. You have a next one there?
No.
You see, this is more than just parenting. We have to, when we're making when we're dealing with a situation, we have to be able to gather all the evidence before we could make really, or before we could nail down a definite point that this is the cause of the problem. First to begin, we had to take this thing in stage. The parents have a responsibility. Yes, that responsibility cannot be diminished. That is the role of the parent. You have to understand at the same time that these children would spend more quality time in a school than with the parent. You have to also understand that most of the homes in this country where these children will be coming from is broken homes. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon, Brother Victor. Good afternoon. You hear me?
Good day. Yes, we hear you.
Yes, man. Well, I just want to put in my 2 cents. Now,
go ahead.
I listened to your discourse this evening. I watched the clip where you play with the late Patrick Manning coming through the airport. But I want to let these children and them who is the future of tomorrow. You all hold on. Cool on yourself. Cool on yourself. You see that vibe where they're getting there, like that spirit that's roaming the land. And there will be a day that this present administration will be sitting on the opposite side of the parliament. And I want to tell you this, all that we can't get right now, it will be given on to us. Because the government priority and expenditure is not people-centered. That is why the country having this tailspin. It's a tailspin. They was want to talk about the UNC and the UNC. The UNC is showing clear from Mbazio Pandey time. They are a people-centered government. This is not about people who went to school and get bright and come out and get in our office. You know, these people come through corporation. They come through the council. They work their way to represent people. Notice the twice they pass in office in this country here. Today we are still enjoying something that they bring. I want to close by saying this. name one thing that we could enjoy after we vote out Dr. Rowley and the PNN them. When we vote them out, name one thing that they put in place that we could live happily with after, because they will come and tell you again, you could walk with 30 grams. That 30 grams is a setup, because that 30 grams, you can't light it in the road, and right now I'm watching all the lighting it all over the place. You're ready to lock up all the, yes.
Yeah.
But anyhow, good morning, good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, my brother. So this situation, it is a holistic one. It's not just about a parent. You understand? We have so many broken homes. We have so many homes where a matter of fact, the unemployment is so high in this country that some of these same children you're seeing in school, they're going to school hungry. Some of these same children, they will change their clothes and do whatever they have to do to put our bread to eat tonight. Some of them just walk and change their clothes in the bar, and somebody might get robbed before they reach home. So it's not just one situation that will compound what is happening. And that is why policies is important. There must be policies with social development to deal with the home aspect. There must be policies from the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of Sport, Culture. This is a holistic issue. So it's not just pointing a finger and say, this one to blame. But we must point a finger at the government, because the government have the responsibility to put the policies in place, whether it's to deal from the parent side straight down to the child side of it. The government. So you can't get away from that. The government has that responsibility. Whatever programs need to put in place to deal with the situation, that box stop with Rowley, government. That is where that stop. So you just can't put your hand up in the air and say, blame the president, lock up the mother, lock up the father, lock up the mother and the father and see what will happen if that will stop the problem. This is a serious issue. And when our government have no policies in place, this is what will happen. And I am telling you, somebody parent will damage somebody child. And when that happens, then you will hear Hines and all of them condemning the parent. You will hear them condemning the parent. Even you on social media will condemn the parent. But some of the things that is happening in school that the ministry refusing to bring out, and the principal and them telling them, but they're under the oath of secrecy. It seems that though like they are part of the Cosa Nostra too. Because when you're telling me you under the oath of secrecy, and you cannot disclose this and disclose that, when the general public will not have a proper consensus as to what is taking place, then where do you go from there? I have friends who is teachers, and you would be amazed to know some of the things that is going on in closed door in those schools. But nobody don't want the school to look bad. So when you stifle what is happening and you hide it under the carpet, this is what it will explode to. It will explode to this behavior, and it will explode where somebody parent will kill somebody child. Mark my words. That is where we heading in the absence of the government taking an approach to deal with this situation.
And I want people to be careful with what you're saying. You're not saying you want that to happen. You are saying based on the trajectory.
That is where it headed.
Lack of dealing with the issue, it may end up there. I am also seeing that these children, they just fight with their hand. It's only a matter of time before they start going with weapons.
Exactly.
And mark my words, it will reach with guns. Watch out for shootout in school. And not with just po-po, eh? You might very well hear a brrr.
Well, that is where it, Archie, I am telling you this thing, Archie, a matter of fact, is not only the whole country out of hand because the government is lawless. The government is a lawless government. We have so much allegations, and I'm talking about tangible allegations, from 4.4 million in our credit union to contracts to 143,800, to not declaring the integrity form, to getting 400,000 off. I mean, the list goes on. Actually, we have an attorney general that stand up blatantly and lie, and the prime minister pull him back inside the bosom. We have a special branch report speak about minister involved in criminal and gang activities. The prime minister pull them in. It seems as though that the more criminal intent you have, is closer
and
is.
Despite that, you know a fair size of the voting population still supporting the PNM. If you hear how, I mean, you just watch that crowd, how they bawling, yeah, and laughing and throwing their hands up in the air. Right? I go along the road and I hear a group of CPF people talking. Man, and they laughing and they lacquering and he saying he get them and he get them. They actually suffering, but supporting all of this.
Brother, they support that.
Right? And they are a percentage of the voting population that could very well put back Rowley into power. So it's not about fixing those things, you know. And you know what, as you're predicting, so what you predict will happen with the country if it continues on that trajectory. There will be a brain drain, people will start to leave, and then you will end up with a kind of Haiti population.
Well, not only a brain drain, Archie, it will have a brain drain on one side that the smart people and the people who could afford will leave the country, but the cemeteries will also be filled. That is where we're heading. The cemeteries will be filled with the young, the medium, and the elderly, because the country have since adopted the principle of the government, which is lawlessness. Actually, once the government is lawless, the country would become lawless. That is factual. If you look at examples of country, let's go right neighboring Venezuela. We look at the level of corruption that the government of Venezuela was involved in over the years. And you know what happened? It trickled down to every ministry. It trickled down to every man and woman on the street. That is where it comes. Everything is corrupted. Everything somebody want a bribe. That is how it does be, actually. And we are allowing the lawlessness from this government. We have a call? Welcome, caller.
Yeah. Yes, Brother Victor, the brother with you there right now, right? I want him to hear this. I hear him talk about the CPF workers and them. Let me tell him something this afternoon. Right now, I on the corridor. I down on the corridor here. I in a PNN stronghold. That is only a talk right now. Right now, the UNC have 19 seats in this country. And there's nothing the PNM could do to win nothing out of that 19. They will only lose it. I know people waiting to dream. This figure the PNM by the poll, all over the place, in every bar, every corner. The same, they ain't saying nothing. They don't want to say nothing. They're waiting. And then why you think he pushed back the local election? He pushed back that in order to do what it is happening on Duncan Street. There were these people in the planning, that whole area waiting on them. They might lost main seats for the first time in this country, and let him continue. But I hope they hold them accountable for every cent they spent from 2015 to the day they come out of office. Good afternoon again.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller, boy. You give me some hope there, boy. You give me some hope.
And that is where we heading, you know. Actually, it has so much sick PNM people. Actually, it has so much sick PNM people. I want to tell you, sick. They're so sick that these people have nothing and they support nothing. They have absolutely nothing. All they might have is a phone, and they might be able to text and send a message in between. They can't even make a phone call. First, they're broken and hungry. But yet still, you just start to talk about the ills of this government, and you will see how fast they will jump to try to defend this government. You know why? Because that is the sickness of the Balize that cultivate the mind, the brain, so they cannot think clearly. The Balize have blinded their eyes so much that no longer they could see what is right and the tongue cannot even say what is wrong. So they supports anything. If Rowley defecate in a plate and give them, they eat it and they know what they're eating, and they're still telling the neighbor, oh boy, this peanut butter nice. They know what they're eating, you know. But they will tell the neighbor, this peanut butter nice. And when the neighbor say, boy, where you get that load of peanut butter? They'll say, boy, the prime minister visit me, boy. He care, so he deliver. He care about us, so he deliver a plate of defecation. That is what they will eat and still say great is the PNM. I want to leave it here tonight.
Yeah, well, for tomorrow, we shifting the Douglas politics to Sunday night, because tomorrow I want the people in the northeast of the country to look out for the UNC. All the northeast constituencies, starting from St. Joseph, Omera, Toko, La Hawketa, Arima, have power walkabouts. So Anil will be involved in that. So we just shifting the show for tomorrow only to Sunday.
Beautiful.
And I want to just, before I go, the UNC really turning up the heat in terms of representing. As a social media officer, I catching my tail to keep up with the amount of activity that the UNC is putting down. They had at least 12 press releases for the day. They're dominating the news in terms of articles. So, you know, the UNC is really, really representing and looking out for the citizens of this country. So we would like you to know that, you know, the UNC is alive and kicking and ready to fix things in this country. It's going to be hard, but with your support, right? And you must support the UNC. So that little thing I just wanted to close off.
What about media briefing Sunday morning?
Yes. That will be on 10:30, and Monday night report 7 o'clock from I think it is Chagonas East, I think. No. I think it's Kuva. I think it's somewhere in Kuva.
Well, they will just run it tomorrow on the screen where they will get our idea which part we're going. So here's where you want to leave it tonight, folks. I want to tell you thanks for tuning in, thanks for the support, and we will continue to fight. We continue to bring you aware as to what is taking place in the country, and at the same time, do not be derailed by those who will try to derail you because they have a plate of food to eat from the PNM. Good night.